Welcome to Sonia's Storytime podcast. This is a true story. This, to me, when I heard this, I was like, this is crazy. So, the girl was like 14 at the time. She and her friend had met these, you know how when the teenagers go out to the mall, they meet these guys. They had met these young boys. So, she and her friend had met this young boy. They had talked on the phone for like a long time. Like they had actually was talking on the phone, just, talking on the phone. But she had never really paid him no mind. So when she finally got to see him, she was like 14. When she finally got to see him again, she realized that he wasn't her type. So she realized he wasn't her type, and she never really paid it no mind. So she was like, you know what, he's not my type, we just gonna be talking on the phone. And she thought that was it. Not knowing that this guy actually was a psycho. She didn't know that. So her friend parents had moved, and she really wanted her friend to stay with her. So her dad actually had took in the girl to actually live with them. So now that her dad had took in the girl to actually live with them, the girl was like her sister, So now, she don't know that he's actually stalking her. He's stalking her. He's like by her house. She don't know none of this. She don't know that he's around just doing all these things that so he stalks her. She's hearing like noises like outside of her house when her father is gone. She's calling her dad. She's like, Dad, we hear noises. So, when you live in the suburbs, because this is happening in the suburbs, her dad is like, it can be animals, whatever. Knows that most of these stories take places in the suburbs. So she's like, okay. So one night, her friend get really, really sick, like really, really sick. So she tried to be there for her friend, because her father is not there. So she's trying to actually be there to help her friend. So now that her father, she calls her father. She's like, Dad, we hearing the noise again. So her dad is like, stop calling him. She's like, her dad is mad now because her dad is a very busy man. So she's like, her dad is so mad now. He's like, stop calling him. So her friend is sick. She's trying to nurse her friend. Long story short, because this story is like really, really long. Long story short, this thing had broke into their house, was living in their attic, right? Living in their attic, had written on their walls that that he was going to kill them. They had notified the authorities. The authorities had to investigate and find out what was going on. One of the cops said at this time, right, that it was like a crawl space in the attic, but because he was a child, and a thin child at that he can fit in. He had this theory. He said he's here now because they had left their house. They had moved out of their house because they didn't really know what was going on. They was getting all these threats. So when they went back to the house with the cops said, he's here now. and the cops find him in this crawl space where he's hiding in their crawl space in their attic. Found out the cops was looking for him because he had killed this woman, plus she was a pregnant woman, plus had killed her and her 5-year-old. So the young girl, well, at the time when she was telling the story, she had got a little older. She was saying that she was crying because she was saying, what if he had killed her dad, and her friend, and her other sibling that was living in the house? And I just think to myself, like, this is crazy. This psycho done broke into these people's house, living in their attic, done harmed a pregnant lady, plus her 5-year-old child. So he got 3 consecutive life sentences, plus breaking and entering, plus attempted murder because he had wrote that he was going to kill them. So I just was like, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is one of the craziest stories I have ever heard. And I was like, I can't believe this. So that story was crazy. When I heard that story, one, be careful, young people. You know, because to her it was supposed to be innocent, but you never know who you're getting involved with. You never know who's crazy and who's not. You know, she thought like it's innocent. You know, we met up through friends. We just we young, we having fun. And to find out that, you know, he really had hurt someone and he really was stalking her and her family and could have killed them, was like, it was a lot. So be careful when you talking to people and you're interacting with people, because you can't really trust no one. And you don't know what their intentions are. You know, because the nicest person can be the meanest person. And the meanest person sometimes is the nicest person, which is crazy. The meanest person sometimes is the nicest person. So you have to be careful. And you know, this wasn't even an online thing. Like, she didn't meet him online. She actually met him in the mall through other friends. And you know, it's just crazy how people are and how you have to be aware of everybody. Be aware of everybody that comes in your life. You know, even though you may think it's a joke, because obvious this psycho couldn't deal with rejection. This is why he did what he did. He didn't know how to deal with rejection. So when you have someone like this who don't know how to deal with rejection, and she would have never known this, she would have never known that he didn't know how to deal with rejection. So be careful, and you know, just be careful. I'd like to thank you for listening to Sony Podcast. Please give it a 5-star review on Speaker, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to our podcast app. Please share. You can call me here at sv766752@gmail.com. Follow me at son.ia9795 Instagram, Twitter, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest. Follow my son Sounds on Apple. On Instagram, we have an album out on Apple, Spotify. Miss TJ VUCLAIN. She have a book called Black Girl in Orange. Follow Female Reform. They have a vintage store in New York and King's Flex on SoundCloud. Have a blessed night.